Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Planning with Bree. I'm Bree, and today we're going to be setting up my mama's April prayer journal. Yes. Okay, so if you have been watching my channel for the last few videos, you know that I upkeep my mom's prayer journal, which just means I set up her spreads for the month so that she can write her scripture notes, her sermon notes, her prayers, and her favorite scriptures, her Bible verses for the upcoming month. So for this month, y'all, I decided to just go ahead and not ask her what she wanted, because also, if you've watched a few videos, you know that she never really knows what she wants for her spreads. So this time I decided to just go off of what I had been seeing in my mind and just what I wanted to create. So for this setup, I knew that I wanted to use some blues and some peaches. And I finally got around to that color scheme after being in like a creative slump for a while. I wasn't really feeling it. It took me actually a little longer than I planned to film this video and to actually get her set up ready. So this first page is a quote page for the scripture Proverbs 16:3. And it says, "Commit your actions to the Lord and your plans will succeed." That was something that I had highlighted in my own scripture verse, or in my own Bible, I guess you could say. And I decided to use it for her journal. Again, I have no longer asked her what she likes for her journal. So my favorite verses will be in her prayer journal. Okay? Until she says otherwise. So I was trying to figure out how I would like to decorate this page, like my different techniques for hand lettering and different fonts. I haven't been using hand lettering in a while, not to this extent, and I think this is my first page where I've used so many fonts on one page, and I really like how it looked. I started up top with the basic, I guess you could say, hand lettering. It's kind of bouncy with the M's, and then I have that big bold font for the word actions and the elongated thin hand lettering for plans. So I really love how this page turned out with all of the fonts. I even did some ombre to some of the words. I used a lighter blue marker to highlight the background and just to make it pop as if there was a light blue shadow on some of these words. And it turned out really, really pretty. So for this entire page, I'm going back and forth between my CalliArt markers as well as my Crayola Supertips. So this marker right here is a CalliArt marker. I'll leave the number on the screen if I can find it. And I also am going to go in with my Crayola Supertips to add some depth to these flowers. So as I'm drawing these flowers, I'm kind of noticing that I don't really know how I want them to look. I don't know if I want to shape them all the way in, color them in, how to show the depth, what colors to use. I just wasn't sure. So you can see me going back and forth, like playing around with the markers and the colors and the shading until I kind of get it right. But the flowers on the bottom that I'm coloring in now look a little different from the flowers up top. So at the flowers up top, I decided to just go ahead and color them all the way in using that CalliArt number 5 marker. And then I went in with the Crayola Super Tip to add some depth, which is what I'm doing right now. So I was kind of just going around where the petals were touching, or in the middle where there would just be a little bit more color to just create, like I said, some depth. That technique that I used up top is how I am going to draw the remainder of these flowers for the rest of the spread. So on the next page is my cover page, and I wanted to draw a big A for April with flowers all the way around it and a little bit in the middle, which is something I have been seeing. This is not something I came up with. I just thought that this would be really pretty for her cover page, especially with this color scheme that I'm going for in my mind, right? So I'm going back and forth between that CalliArt marker, and now I'm using this pinkish peach marker for the next type of flower that I'm drawing, and it's basically just some ovals, like a circle in the middle with some ovals to represent the petals. And then I'm going to draw a few of these leaves using another Crayola Super Tip marker. It's that lightest tan that I have in that 100 pack. And this is one of my favorite colors as well. I use it a lot in a lot of my spreads when I draw. So for this page, like I said, I was just going around drawing these flowers, trying to get my groove of how I wanted them to look. Trying to stay as best as I can on the outside of that outline for the A, but the A is going to be a very, very dark blue, like a navy blue. So I wasn't too concerned about getting over that line as much because I knew that the blue would cover it up. So for these markers, let me just say this. The CalliArt markers are very special to me. They have a special place in my heart because I purchased the CalliArt marker, which is a pack of 75 markers, last summer when I was still doing my first bullet journal, and I didn't know if I wanted to go all the way in. I don't know why I didn't know this because I was so into it by this point, but I love these markers. They are, I believe, water-based, so they blend very well with each other. They are dual tip, so they have a brush tip end on one end, and then on the other end they have a fine line or a fine point marker on the other end, which is what I use to outline the page on my quote page, was the fine tip end of that CalliArt marker. I would say that this is a good place to start if you don't already own like the 100 pack of Crayola Super Tips. The CalliArt markers are a very, very good option. They're a little more affordable. I believe they're a couple of dollars less, but you get such a wide variety of colors. And the brush tip end is really good for hand lettering if you are new to hand lettering. It is a little tricky with Crayola Super Tips just because you have to learn how to turn the marker in order to get that thick downstroke, and then you have to turn it back a little more upright to get the thin upstroke, which is not as complicated with the CalliArt markers because when you apply pressure on the downstroke, it automatically creates a thicker line. So just something to think about if you're looking into markers and you are just getting started in this. The CalliArt markers are a good choice, and I'll have a link down in my description for the CalliArt markers and the Crayola Super Tips. So I'm going to finish this page off just by coloring that A in with a Crayola Super Tip. I can't give you the numbers because they don't number their markers, but I really wanted it to be a very, very dark navy, so I went over it a couple times. And then I'm just going to write April in that gold pen inside the A. And now we are on to the next page. For these next few pages, I am going to create some Dutch doors for her weekly spreads. And this first page is going to be her favorites page. So right now I'm using the CalliArt marker number 100. And that is going to be the base for my ombre coloring. And then when I go on top of it to create the ombre with the darker blue that I used for the word April, that is the navy blue Crayola Super Tip markers that I've been using. So to do the ombre effect, I just kind of go down about halfway through the lettering, and I use some I go upwards, use upward strokes of lines so it can kind of look like it's fading, and that's how I get the ombre look. And then I am going to add some details with the white gel pen to kind of make them look like bubble letters, to make them look like they're popping off of the page. And lastly, I'm going to go in with the CalliArt marker and the number 65 as a shadow behind it to just make it pop. So for the lettering for April, that was just a bold all caps font, and I wanted to make it pop a little bit more, so I used my I always get this name confused. I want to call it a Pigma Micron, but it's called a I think that's what it is, a Pigma Micron in the number, or in the thickness 0.05. I really hope I said that right. If I messed it up, I'll put it on the screen. And I just created a little detail in April. So I'm just going to create some different size boxes with all 5 of the colors that I've been using, variation of these CalliArt markers and Crayola Supertips. How many times am I going to say that in this video? But once I'm done with that, I then go in and outline them with this Pigma Micron and just make them all more uniform by creating just a thin line over all of the colored boxes. Okay, I did add a little bit of details to this page by drawing in some of those leaves that I used on the first cover page. Okay, now right here is where my phone decided she didn't want to record anymore. So all I did for these Dutch doors is just cut out the shape of each letter in the word April. The most important thing about these Dutch doors is to make sure, number one, you're going in the same number of dot grid spaces. I believe I went in 5 dot grid spaces. And then to also make sure that your letters are about the same size. So for my mom's bullet journal, she has a notebook therapy bullet journal, and there are 38 grid spaces from top to bottom, and there are 7 letters, or excuse me, there are 5 letters in April. So there were a few of these letters that were 7 grid spaces tall, like the P and the R, and then there were a few that were 8 to take up for the additional grid spaces. But I did draw those out in pencil first, and if you're nervous about doing something like this for a Dutch door, just draw it out in pencil first before you do any cutting. And the most important part is to draw it out on the back so you don't cut off some of your words. Like this side right here, I had to draw a line where I was going to cut it off because I've accidentally cut off some beautiful hand lettering before, and it was quite devastating. Okay, so right now I'm just going in, coloring each one of these letters with one of the 5 colors that I've been using throughout this entire spread. I also use that Pigma Micron to write the number of the week on the back side of the letter. And I write the same 4 things in her prayer journal for her weekly spreads. So at the top, you can see I have date, sermon title, scripture, and notes. And that's all I do for her weekly spreads, and make sure to leave enough room for her notes so that she doesn't complain that I didn't give her enough room. She complains very nicely, but she will tell me she doesn't have enough space. The last thing I'm going to do is make sure that I decorate the last page of the Dutch door. So I lay all of the letters down flat to see where I'm going to have some leaves poking through. And then I go back to this last page to fill it all the way in. One trick I did decide to use is just to use a piece of paper as a straight edge where the Dutch door ends, so that it's not in the middle of her spread where she should be writing. And it can give it a clean line for these leaves without making the leaves scrunched up on the edge. It gives it more of a continuous look when I do it that way. See, when I take the page away, isn't that so clean? I love that. I just went in with my gold marker for some accents. And now we're on to the last spread. For this spread, this is a new spread that I'm doing in her journal this month, and this is for her prayers. So I decided to add this page because I wanted to. And have you guys ever had an idea for a page or just for a spread or a drawing, and you don't really know what type of spread you want it for, so you create an entirely new spread just so you can draw what's in your mind? Does anybody else do that? Well, that's what this page is for. So at the top, the first thing I do is lay down some washi tape so that I can create a clean border at the top of this page. And I'm just going to draw a various number of flowers, the same 3 flowers that I've been drawing. I just kind of scatter them all along the top. So I start with that pink peach flower with the oval petals, and then I go in with this more of an orange peach and draw the other type of flower with the 5 petals. Not sure what these are called. I'm not even sure if this is a real flower or if we've just kind of adapted this in the drawing world. Not sure. Then when I get done with that, after I add some details to those flowers, I'm going to use this same color and draw some of those leaves in between the flowers that I've already drawn. And once I am done drawing all of these leaves out and I place them where I want, I was trying to place them in such a way that I didn't have a lot of negative space, but just enough so that the background color would show through. And the background color that I chose to use is that navy blue that I used on that cover page because I wanted these flowers to pop off the page. So right here, I'm using that navy blue marker to first kind of outline the outside of the flowers and the leaves, and then I color in all of the white negative space. So I outline it first so that when I'm coloring, I don't run inside of the flower and then I just have a blue flower on accident, you know. So once I peel that tape off, it's looking so pretty. I then go down to the bottom and just create a line all the way across the bottom of her page. And now I'm going to letter out the word prayers. I'm going to use the exact same format that I used for the word favorites, starting with this CalliArt marker and then going in with the Crayola Supertips to create an ombre effect. Using that white gel pen, the Uniball Signo white gel pen to make it look like a bubble letter, and then going into the background with the other light blue color to give it a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so it's the exact same format, but I had so much fun drawing out the word favorites that I wanted to draw it very, very big all the way across this page. Then I decided to add a little bit of an accent with these black lines on the downstroke of the letters just to help it pop off a little bit as well. One thing I can say about hand lettering, guys, if you are new to it, just play around with it. Watch different people do different styles. This is my first time adding so many elements to one font, right? So I have the ombre, I have the white gel pen, I have the shadow and the accent with the black marker. So if that's you and you're new to it, guys, when I first started, I just used one marker to create the entire word, and I was very proud of myself. So just start from wherever you are and gradually, you know, go from there. On this page, I decided to go in and try my hand with some washi tape. I think I have finally decided how to use washi tape. Okay, I think I have finally gotten it. I used these 2 washi tapes to match the color scheme, and I used a few pieces of them to kind of look like tape, that they're sticking those things up on the wall, and that was cute to me. So this is the final flip through. As you can see, these Dutch doors came out very, very cute. If I can find the link to who I got it from, I'll put it in the description box down below. But that is all for this video, guys. Stay tuned for another video next Tuesday, and I'll see you then. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.